Yo, what is going on, guys? So a bunch of new Yu-Gi-Oh cards got announced / leaked. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the first card, which is called Cataclysmic Cheerful Calcragra, which is, these are all, by the way, coming out in Ignition Assault. Anyways, Earth Fairy, level 8, 2600 attack, 200 defense points. Says you can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. If a face-up Earth monster you control is destroyed by battle or by your opponent's card effect, you get to special summon this card from your hand. Then you could send one monster from your deck to the graveyard. That's insanely good. Alright, so you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and special summon a 2600 attacker. And then I'm going to also be able to Foolish Burial anything in my entire deck. It doesn't even have to be Earth. It has a summon requirement of the Earth monster being destroyed. But this is actually really insanely strong. I like it though. I like it indeed. Next up we have a Volup the Obsession, which is a level 4 Earth Fiend Tuner effect monster, and the artwork on this card is absolutely crazy, so I had to zoom up on that card. But 1200 attack, 1800 defense points. Like I said, it is a tuner. And it is an Earth, so maybe it goes well with the other card. Anyway, it says you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you get to target a Synchro monster you control or in your graveyard, banish that monster. If you do, special summon this card. The second effect is, if this card is in the graveyard, you can target a Synchro monster you control or in your graveyard and banish that monster, and if you do, add this card to your hand. Okay, that's a very decent little card over here. And then it goes over, like, what does it say? It says, also Vol's one of the demons from the Argus Goda, basically can make fall for you and make your worst enemy your biggest bro, and naturally they tend to appear as a camel. Oh, okay, I guess this is some like actual bonus lore. Can someone tell me, is this from like the anime, or is this like something from like I guess mythology or something like that? Because I'm pretty sure it's more than likely from mythology, but I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh's getting crazy. Anyways, next up we have Toon Knight, or Toon Knight, Chu being sound like mice. Oh, okay. Anyways, this little guy over here is a Fire War Union. Okay, this is interesting. We're getting unions in 2019. That's wild. Anyways, level 1, 500. If this card is special summon, you can treat this card as a tuner for the rest of the turn, but you can only special summon one more time from the extra deck this turn. Once per turn, you can either equip this card to face-up monster you control, or unequip this card and you can special summon it. The equipped monster would be destroyed by battle by card effect. You can destroy this card instead. Okay, so basically that's the effect of like unions, but like when it's summoned, it doesn't really get an effect really. It just can be treated as a tuner. Okay, nonetheless, looks like we're like really trying to pump up synchros. Next up we have, is it Cicada? Cicada? Anyways, Earth Insect level 3 over here. And it is a tuner as well. Okay, so a huge amount of synchro stuff. 800, 100. It says you can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is special summon, you get to special summon one Husk token, Earth Insect level 300. As long as the token is special summoned by this effect remains in a monster zone, you can also special summon monsters from the extra deck except for insect monsters. Okay, but you just go into something else and then you just go off with it. That's actually a pretty decent little card for a lot of different insect decks. Next up we have, wow, this is a potato artwork. This one might be like a card leak over here. Because like I said, some of these are leaks and some of them I want to say these are more shown. But potato quality on Battle Survivor, which is an Earth Warrior level 4, 1600 attack, 1800 defense points. It says you can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. The first effect is at the end of the battle phase, you can add one card from your graveyard to your hand that was sent to the graveyard during this battle phase while this monster was face up, except for Battle Survivor. Okay, so I guess the goal is to utilize this card and the previous card, which is the Cheerful. I guess that's the goal with it. That's pretty cool. Next up, though, we have the Daruma Otoshi, which is a Earth Warrior, level 4, 700 attack, 1800 defense points. It says you can only use the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn each. The first effect is a quick effect that you get to detach material from a monster you control, then target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes 0 until the end of this turn. And the second effect is, if you would detach a material from an exceeding monster you control, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead of detaching one of those materials. You can't use this effect during the turn in which this card was sent to the graveyard. Okay, that's really unfortunate. Okay, so I guess some Exceed support too. Next over we have Scissors Cross, which is a normal spell card. It says if you control no monsters in your main monsters on target level 4 Sky Striker, a monster in your graveyard and add to your hand, or if you have 3 more spells in your graveyard, you can special summon it instead. Okay, that's pretty decent. There is also a newer Sky Striker monster that got announced, and we'll get into that in a moment here. Next up, we have Devil's Portrait, which is a normal trap card that says you can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. The first effect says you get to target one face-up monster your opponent controls to activate special summon one monster with the same name from your deck or extra deck, but the special summon monsters by this effect returns to the deck during the next turn's end phase. Also, for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you can add special summon monsters from the deck or extra deck. Oh, that is the downside of the mix. You want to say, alright, not even worth it. But it's still pretty cool that you're able just to get out something. Huge potential for some of the mirror matchups that would basically utilize the card maybe as a stepping stone to go into other things. But the problem that I have with it is you can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn after this card resolves. You can't, unless there's some other way to get around that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if there's any crazy combo with this, with like interactions with other Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Next up, that we have Disposable Alerting Machine, which is a new equip spell that says you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. The first effect is the equipped monster gains 200 attack for each monster in your graveyard. Wow, this could be really good for a lot of different things. And then the second effect is during the end phase in which this card was sent from the field to the graveyard, you can set this card, but if you do, banish it when it leaves the field. Okay. It has to be, unfortunately, it's the field. If it was sent from anywhere, from like even from the deck, I was like, yo, we could run this in Lightsworn, and it's kind of cheesy at the end of the day. But maybe with a soul, you can get like 3 to 4 monsters relatively quick. But mostly, I guess, it's probably going to be used for the ability for God Phoenix Gearfried. We're able to basically send the equip card, and then you basically get to negate the effect, and then you get to reset the card again. I guess that's the whole goal with this, which had like an effect where if it was banished, you also get to, like, well, I guess it would get banished from the field, but if it's banished, you can pay life points and maybe add it back or something. I just feel like more likely people that are playing like God Phoenix Gearfried probably won't really utilize this card. At the end of the day, the small boost is not what makes that card good. It's basically the negation, and I guess you get to technically use it twice with this. Next up, though, like I was saying before with Assault, like, I don't know, are you going to actually be trying to play this? If it was, like, more searchable, like I said, if it had some graveyard, you can banish it to add it by paying life points or something. I don't know, we'll see. Anyways, next up we have the Fragile Edged Sword over here, which is a new, well, this has got to be equipped. I just probably spelled it wrong. I was like, well, we got to find a new type of card. Anyways, it says you can only control one face-up Fragile Edge Sword. The equipped monster gains 2,000 attack. Also, any battle damage it inflicts is applied to both players. And it says if you take 2,000 more battle damage, send this card to the graveyard. Okay, maybe some interesting interactions, because there are cards where I think it's with the Injectors, right? If like the equipped card is like destroyed or detached or whatever. I have to reread some of the Injectors. It's been a while. I know that on the most recent ban list they also got a buff, but I mean, we could maybe see some plays with this. It's kind of interesting, but like it is a huge amount of damage, and why could you control face up one? I don't know. I don't know if I would say that this card makes it very, very viable in any of those equipped decks. But anyways, next up we have Cupid Serve, which is a light fairy level 2, 1,600, and it says you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. The first effect is unaffected by activated effects from any monster other than the monster whose level is lower than or equal to this card's, so like 2 or lower. And then the second effect is you can banish up to 3 cards from your graveyard to increase the level of this card by that number until the end of this turn. This would be the mid Cupid. Okay, this is going back to like the lore stuff. All right, we still got more Yu-Gi-Oh cards over here, so let's go and hop right into it. So next up we have the Evilcelia Lutea. Is Evilcelia a new archetype? This definitely looks like a new archetype over here. Anyways, 1800 to 100, and it is a plant, and it is Earth, so maybe it will be useful with some of the other stuff. Looks like we're bringing back Plant Synchro. That would be awesome. That's some of you guys know that is my favorite archetype. I'm curious to know how much of you guys actually really missed and like Plant Synchro. And if you do, drop a like on this video so I know, because I'm genuinely curious. Do people still remember that deck? But anyways, next up we have Clothheap, which is a new Earth Beast, 700 attack, link to the zones on the bottom left, bottom right, and it says 2 monsters with different names. It says you can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. The first effect is if a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, you can apply the following effects according to the type of monster this card points to. So if it's Ritual, get to draw 2, discard 2. Dude, that is, dude, you know how insane this card is? Unfortunately, with incantations, you can't go for anything in the extra deck, so it's completely ruined, but that would have been so insanely good just because with the incantations, the recyclability, and then on top of that, you can play some of the other cards that normally just don't get the full like value. Was it like the prep? There are cards where it's like you get to add one of the ritual like spells, but like it just would let you basically discard the card and then you basically not only cycle cards, but you're kind of getting a plus anyways. But with a fusion, you get to dispose of a level 4 lower monster from your graveyard. Okay, that's pretty cool. All monsters you control gain 700 attack for synchros, and exceeds all monsters your opponent controls lose 700. Dude, the draw 2, discard 2, that is so huge. I mean, at the end of the day, this card doesn't really do anything. But what I also want to mention, because it just says 2 monsters with different names, what's interesting, guys, is Dark Magician can actually make use of this card. So ideally what you do is you ritual Dark Magician once on your turn, right? And then you could do it again on your opponent's turn, and then there's one, I think, Magician Navigation, right, where you get to banish it from the grave and like negates an effect or something like that. I don't know, I just feel like the draw 2, like it could do so much wonders because it's then discard at the end, right? So I'm pretty sure you could proc some of the other effects. Dark World, I don't know, like, I know it sounds weird, but like I'm just saying this like as an idea, maybe even Fables. I don't know, there's a lot of potential with this card, and I'm just thinking of, okay, this card has potential to be like actually broken with certain things, for sure. But next up though, we have the Head Judging, which is a new continuous trap card that says you can only use this first effect with this card's name only once per turn. The first effect is when either player activates a monster effect on the field, you can have the activating player toss 1 coin and call it. If they call it right, send this card to the graveyard. If they call it wrong, negate the activation. If you do, that player gives control of that monster to their opponent. Dude, this is like literally a coin flip. Dude, that is so broken. Wait, okay, what? Oh, wait, hold on. The activating player tosses the coin. Can't you just do, what is it, a second coin toss where you force them to go for it twice? This card is the ultimate troll. You could lose off of this card because it's like, sure, the effect is only once, but you have the player, the activating player, call it. So that makes it so troll because you get to take control, and it says that player gives control of the monster to their opponent. And it's not even to the end of the turn. This is permanent. This is a troll's dream card. It's like a 50-50, but I don't know. Okay, you know what we're going to do? If you're new to the channel here and you want to see some trolling going on, we're going to do a head judging troll deck where we just run a lot of the coin flipping things, and then we're going to make it so your opponent gets no effects, but it's like a 50-50. But you can make it so it's more in your favor with some of the... There is some tactical coin support, but I feel like it's always so troll, man. But that is so dirty. New troll card for sure. YGOPRO. So it's a fire zombie, level 7, 1500 attack, 2200 defense points. It says you can only use the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn each. The first effect is you can discard a zombie monster special on this card from your hand. Wow, that's really easy. And then during your opponent's main phase, that's a quick effect. You target one zombie in either player's graveyard and special summon it, then banish this face-up card until the end phase. Banish the monster special summon by this effect when it leaves the field. Okay. Huh. That's a very interesting effect over there. I like it. It's cool. I've always liked really unique cards, and obviously with Zombie World, you can reborn from your opponents, but will it really be really utilized? I don't know, because like you have to wait to your opponent's main phase, and at that point, it's too long. You're gonna lose the duel because you didn't OTK or stun your opponent, right? Next up, we have the Gravity Controller, which is new Dark Psychic, Link 1. And bottom left, it says one non-link monster in the extra monster zone. It says this card cannot be used as link returned in the turn in which it is link summoned. So the first effect says in this card in the extra monster zone is not destroyed by battle by monsters in the main monster zones. And then at the start of the damage step, this card battles an opponent's monster. In the extra monster zone, you can turn both this card and the opponent's monster to the owner's deck. Okay, that's not a bad effect at all. It just basically gives you, it's just one, I guess if you're really utilizing this level 1 stuff, it's just like one monster anyways, and then you just bounce back. Kind of like a Grand Mole, if you will, and then you just keep on summoning it. For certain decks, this could actually be pretty cool. I guess with like Linkaribo, Treeborn and Frog, like you just bring it back every single turn anyways, and just, that's kind of cool. I like it. It's a decent little card, but at the end of the day, I don't know if it's going to let you really OTK, but it does give some of those other like level 1 like decks a little bit more potential. Whereas the last time I remember, like level 1 variant decks were like Mystic Piper Chaos, right? I'm going back in time. Yo, there's more Time Thieves. That's what I'm talking about. The Time Thief Recorder. It's Time Thief Time Recorder. Okay, Dark Machine level 4, 1000, 1000. It says you can only use the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn each. First effect is during your opponent's battle phase, as a quick effect, you get to tribute this card, and then for the rest of the turn, the first time you take battle damage from an attack by your opponent's monster, your opponent takes that battle damage instead. Okay. And then the second effect is face up exceed monster you control use. If a face up exceed monster you control leaves the field by a card effect, well, this card is in your graveyard, you just special this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Okay. That's very interesting. I'm thinking like what would be even more interesting is if you utilize like what is it, Imperial Iron Wall, so this card keeps on coming back, and then you just go ahead and tribute it, make it go away. I mean, it's really pushing because more than likely they're just gonna Phoenix it, but nonetheless, I mean there is technically like loops with the card. Next up though, this is a new Gizmek. This is Gizmek Mikazuchi. Nuclear Emperor. Alright. So anyways, he's a level 9 fire effect, machine effect monster. 2750, 2750. Gosh, making the math hard. But it says you can only use the cards first and second and third effects once per each. I feel like every Yu-Gi-Oh card in 2020 is going to say this because we just keep on figuring out loops and stuff. But anyways, if there is a monster in the extra monster zone, you can just special summon this card from your hand. It's just zones. Okay. And then you can target one face-up monster in an extra monster zone, equip that target to this card maximum 1. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon one of your monsters equipped to this card. Whoa, that is insane. Wait, what the heck? Oh, I mean all the effects are once per each, but I don't think this is a quick effect. If this was a quick effect, this would be absolutely amazing, but it still definitely is just easy special summon, right? I mean, it doesn't really have that utility like the other Gizmek, the Metal Snake where it keeps on coming back. It's still a cool card nonetheless. I like it. Next up, we finally have the new Sky Striker monster here. This is Sky Striker Ace Rose with a Z, which is a new level 4 Light Warrior effect monster with 1500 attack and 1500 defense points. And it says you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. And the first effect is if a Sky Striker monster, except for a Sky Striker Ace Rose, is no more special summon, you can special summon this card from your hand. The second effect is while this card is in your graveyard and your opponent's monster in the extra monster zone is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of a card effect while it's in its owner's control, you can special summon this card, then you can negate the effects of one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end of his turn. Obviously, this effect is really good. Okay, so I guess Sky Strikers losing Widow Anchor kind of hurts, but at the end of the day, this is actually a pretty decent little card for them. But you know what I'm most excited about, honestly, out of all these cards, and you guys can let me know what your thoughts are on all these cards. But dude, I'm ready to troll and get some great content, so if you guys want to see that, and you're new here, like I said, hit subscribe, turn on that bell, and you'll definitely see it very, very soon, because that's actually what I want to record very soon right now. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed checking out the new Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and if it's your first time here, subscribe, turn on the bell if you want to see more of these videos as soon as they get announced. And if you guys want to send me in replay files from YGOPRO of any of these things, specifically this card, dude, I'm curious to see what this plant synchro stuff does. And also, I feel like that new ritual card has a lot of potential to see a lot of crazy combos. Even though it's a once per turn, there are quick play ways to get out rituals during your opponent's turn, right? So we'll have to wait and see if this card becomes a little bit too OP. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good one, and I'm signing out. Peace.